This is the Ascend Your Success podcast. And here's your host, Wyatt Reed.
What's going on, guys? My name is Wyatt Reed, and this is the Ascend Your Success podcast. And today I get to talk to my friend, Jeremy Beland. And he's going to tell us about how to use a little bit of a different disposition strategy and get bigger and better contracts using bigger and better sales tactics, right? So, Jeremy, thank you so much for being on, man. Tell us a little bit about yourself before we get started.
Yeah, Wyatt, thank you so much for having me on. Great pleasure to be here today. So I'm Jeremy Beland. I am up in New Hampshire. I work with the great Dan Toback as well down in the Port St. area of Florida, Treasure Coast. I've been running my business up here in New Hampshire, Massachusetts since 2017. I've had a few different markets with some great success over the years, some other markets not with such great success. But what we focus on in our business model is we are experts at acquiring off-market properties direct to the seller and the sales skills that go into that. So we really want to be good at finding distressed sellers, marketing to them, and having the sales skills to be really good at providing value to them and getting these properties locked up at a really low low price. And then we have multiple exit strategies out. Hopefully some of these we're going to share with your audience today. A lot of us, we started out as wholesalers. That's how we started out in 2017. But we've transitioned away from just quote unquote, just wholesaling, which I got nothing wrong with it. But I feel like I have this passion to help teach people that there's two things you can do in this business. If you want to acquire properties like this, is you can learn to get better at getting them at a deeper discount by providing more value and learning the sales goes along with it. But rather than just assigning it out to a cash buyer or a few cash buyers or many cash buyers, there's other ways to exit out of it. And it's not just flipping that you can actually get bigger returns. So the effort's the same, your skill set gets better, and hopefully you get double, triple, quadruple the returns.
Dude, heck yeah. I mean, two things that I already got out of this is that, you know, a lot of people say we're marketing companies. Like that's what real estate's all about, is marketing. But yeah. I want to say, man, we're a sales company. Like if you can do all the marketing in the world, but if you can't close somebody, you're up the creek without a paddle, right?
So. Absolutely. People, we're companies like us, we're getting more savvy every day, right? So we're in a time now where there's probably more competition than ever when it comes to off-market property acquisitions, whether they're looking at it from creative financing like you, or seller financing, cash offers like us, sub to, whatever the case is, right? There's more and more of these people going after the same properties every day. And we all know how to generate leads. Obviously, some marketing channels work better than others, but we can all generate leads. The difference is, how do you separate yourself from everybody else? Is getting really good at talking to people. And the more you can practice and learn and get better at talking to people, the more deals you're going to make and the more money you're going to make.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And the other thing too is having multiple exit strategies. Like I see too many people come in and say, I don't want to wholesale because I think that that's sketchy or whatever. They're just, ignorant to the fact of what it actually is. And so I came in and I said, I don't want to wholesale. I want to buy properties. And when I started buying properties, I realized this cash flow is terrible. Like, I'm never going to get I'm going to be here for like 30 more years. I want to get out of my job, not make another job. So I had to learn all the different strategies. So it's very important to have multiple exit strategies and be a well-rounded investor, right?
I couldn't agree more with that. And regardless of how you acquire these properties, right, the first thing you want to do is, you mentioned a marketing company or sales company, right? We want to be generating deal flow. We need to have consistent deals coming into our business every single month, right? And then if you have the skill set to know how to exit out of each one individually, which is best for your needs at the time, then you can do quick cash, wholesaling it, big chunks of cash, wholesale or flips, right? And then obviously the long-term wealth, which is what we all want, which is holding on to these properties. But once you can build this machine where deals are coming through all the time, now you just cherry pick your pipeline and do what's best for yourself and your company. It's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely, man. 100%. So, all right, take us back to when you first started. What were you focused on? The strategies, the marketing channels? Like, tell me how you got deals and what you were doing with them versus, fast forward now, what's the difference? What changes have you made that have really, turned your business into a more efficient, scalable business?
Dude, I love this question. Great question. And sets me up perfectly. So I'm all excited. Let me take some water right here. about to go on a little bit of a rant. So, listen, I started from humble backgrounds. I started my business at 40 years old. In 2016, I was a divorced dad at 40 years old with 2 kids. I sold my townhouse because I wanted to get in Tom Kroll's Wholesaling Inc. Coaching program. It was like $5,000. I knew I needed some money. I didn't have any money, so I freaking sold my townhouse. I made 17 grand. I paid like $6,000 off the credit card debt. It took $5,000. I joined his program end of 2016. Moved my kids and myself into a crappy little 2-bedroom apartment. I burned the boats. I still had a good full-time job, but I was like, I'm all in. This is everything I got. I got to make this work. Took $6,000. That was my initial marketing spend. That $11,000 went on to teach me how to get my first deal through thanks from Wholesaling Inc. In 90 days. We did a $5,000 deal. Went on to do 10 deals that year, a whopping $72,000. Right, failed forward completely. His program was great to teach you how to do your first deal, but didn't really teach you how to like repeat the process, how to get really good at talking to people, how to get good on the phones. It was missing all that stuff. It was a very beginner program, and it was awesome. It changed my life. And then I found his brother Todd Toback, and he was more about the sales and the acquisition sides. And a lot of what we do today is really based off of his original sales skills. We've fine-tuned it. We have more experience with it, but he was the guy who really just started how to talk to people. And we found that in our second year. And next thing you know, I went from doing 10 deals to like 25 deals just from learning the sales skills and starting to work on those. And then during that, for those first 2 years, we were just giving it to wholesaling our deals to cash buyers. So we built out a traditional cash buyers list. And then we would get into the trap of what we call a CBE, a cash buyer employee. Even though I had a large group of buyers that I could work with, there was always these few buyers that you knew could perform. And then because we were so, I guess, motivated sellers ourselves at the time because we were living deal to deal, right? And it was just like, I got a deal on a contract. I'm going to go to this guy because I know I can get 20 grand and get it sold right away, right? And we used to do that kind of stuff. And then he'd nickel and dime me. And then all of a sudden he was like, well, I don't want that deal. And then I'd be like, okay. And I don't know, to make a long story short, we started to just kind of fall into this trap of depending on a few guys. And then every time we took a step away and really marketed out to our groups, we realized we were getting bigger chunks of change. So we started to use the less of the cash buyer process. And then Todd Toback says in one of his trainings or podcasts that I'm listening to at the time, he's like, let's talk about how we can use the MLS. And he taught this little technique of the MLS. And basically what we do is, now this isn't approved in all states. So you have to, I say that if you're listening, you have to check with your local attorney, check with the local real estate commission. We had it all vetted out and it's totally fine. But what we do is we market our properties on the MLS and we get more eyes on the property. And because we do that, once we went away from just our cash buyers list to our MLS and having the same dispo process, which is what we call inspection walkthrough. So we open up the house for like an hour and we let everybody come in there. It's like a freaking open house. It's a circus. We drive tons of people in there. The more we can drive in there, the more the prices go up. And literally, once we started doing that with just our cash buyers and moving it to the MLS as well, we went from an average of $20,000 assignment per deal to $35,000 per deal overnight. So we almost doubled our revenue and return the same amount of effort just by this little technique that we learned. And it was a game changer. Ever since then, my limited mindset was blown, right? I just opened up the doors and I was like, wow, now I don't have to be like, unappreciated by all these cash buyers, them nickel and diming me. Like, I'm the one working hard. I'm spending the money on marketing. I'm finding these deals. Nobody else is finding. I deserve more money. And that's what I'm really passionate about, is teaching people now. It's like, dude, don't just give these deals away as a motivated seller. Like, let's find ways to get as much revenue as we can out of them. MLS is one of those processes. We also love to wholesale. We do a lot of double closes. We actually we move a lot of really nice houses for good money. So there's a lot of different exit strategies. And now most of our deals are like $40,000, $50,000, $60,000. So I don't have to do this large volume of deals. Right. I can do less deals, make more money, and the lifestyle for me and my team is way, way better.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love it. Let's pull it back a little bit just for the newbies that are listening. And when you say wholesale, it means that Jeremy's going to get a property locked up under contract, and market that contract. Let's say he gets it for $100,000. He turns around, throws it out to his buyer's list for $110,000, and he makes that $10,000, which he's saying he's making $25,000 to $30,000 now, which is amazing. I think our average assignment is 15 grand, but I agree with you. Once we started to use the MLS to dispo deals, and when I say dispo, it just means to exit the deal, right? It was a game changer for us. And so I'm interested to see, is it the novation strategy that you're using, or does your contract just say I can market this thing on the MLS?
That's right. That's what our contract says. We have them initial it. And obviously some sellers don't want it marketed on the MLS for whatever reason is. And we always respect their wishes. And that's why we continue to work and build out our cash buyers list. So yeah, we do novations and those happen. But they're few and far between. Is not really our business model. We kind of do all exit strategies because we've learned them all over time.
Wow.
But we're really focused on, putting it on the MLS. We phrase it as, hey, we're buying this property and we're immediately marketing to find another buyer. So as soon as we close, we're going to immediately resell it, like immediately to somebody else. And so we have the open house, everybody comes in, and then we just say, why don't we just assign it to you? But what is great about this is we could do this with nice houses too, right? So there's a lot of distressed properties with nice houses that still need to sell at a discount, but there may not be enough meat on the bone for a flipper or buy and hold investor, but these people still need help. They're in a situation where we can provide a solution to their problem and get them out from that house. But for a retail buyer, they're fantastic, right? They may need a little bit of love. They may be a little dated. They may need a good cleaning, but they're move-in ready and they qualify for conventional financing. And what's great about the retail buyers is, dude, they get like a $5,000, $10,000 off the ARV. That is a deal of the century, right? They don't need to buy this property at 70%, minus repairs and all this other stuff, because they're not looking to make a profit. They get it below market value. And if they can even get a house below market value in this market, that's a win in itself. So we move nice houses like that all the time. And then what we do, instead of assigning it, because we can't assign to a conventional loan, most banks won't recognize that, and we just double close. We'll use somebody else's money, pay them a couple grand to use their money for a day, and we usually get huge returns out of those deals.
Yeah, I love that, man. There's so much to take away from that. Let's dive in a little bit more into the sales process. Are you pitching that cash offer first and seeing if they'll take that, and then if they don't want that, hey, we can come up for this novation price, or is it just that price?
We always do the cash pitch, right? That is what we're trying to do, is get everything locked up at a low price, because we may take it down. We take down a lot of properties these days, so we may wholesale it, flip it, etc. So that's really always our approach first. With the novation situation, and for people who don't understand what a novation is a novation is basically, it's like when we have a sales contract with a seller, a novation is basically a contract that replaces that contract. So basically what we do is we cancel the contract we have with the seller. I know it sounds scary. And we put them into a contract now with the end buyer, not us and the end buyer, but the seller and the end buyer. I know that sounds scary too. But that contract then says, hey, we agreed to a price of $100,000. We're going to connect you with an end buyer at $140,000, and that $40,000 in between is ours, and we'll pay for real estate commissions and closing costs, right? So that's the same way as like what you could do with the double close. It's just a little bit of a different strategy to get there. The cost may be a little bit better because you're not having to pay to borrow somebody else's money, but mostly relatively the same. The thing about novations that are tough is you have to, obviously we're very transparent in what we do. Sellers sometimes have a hard time wrapping their head around how that all works. So what happens for us is sometimes we tend to do that like, hey, you don't want to work with a realtor. It's not really a number that's going to make anybody excited. We'll throw it on the MLS. This is what we're going to do. And then, if we find a buyer, we'll either double close on it or do a novation. We have that conversation ahead of time. But those are a handful a year for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So that led into what I was going to ask was, I think when we started doing novations, that was the biggest thing and the hardest thing to hurdle over, was having that conversation, being upfront and honest about what we were going to do, and training others. Like, obviously we both coach, so training others how to have that conversation. That was the hardest part about doing the novations. Can you walk us through what that conversation looks like, just for anybody who wants to try this strategy.
Yeah, I'm probably not the best person to do this. I wish Dan was here because he's our sales coach. He'd be much better at this. But basically, like, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I understand you need to get $100,000 on your property. That's really, really tight for a cash buyer. I understand you have a situation. I'm here to help you, right? I can provide you value A, B, and C. I know you need A, B, and C, but maybe the situation is you need 100,000 because that is what your loan payment is, right? This is what your payoff is for your debt. We really need to be at $80,000, but because you don't have the $20,000 to bring to the table, you're stuck at 100. What we could do is we're going to market your property on the MLS. All right. We're going to take your contract. We're going to put it on the MLS. We're going to have an inspection walkthrough. And what we're going to do is it's a one-time showing. We're going to open it up for an hour. We'll manage everything. You guys just go out and get some coffee for that hour. We'll text you as soon as it's done. We're going to come in. Hopefully it's going to be a crazy madhouse, right? We're going to get a ton of people in here. You're going to be like, holy smokes, there's going to be cars up and down the street. That's what we're hoping for. And that's it. And then what we're going to do is field offers, and we're going to try to find somebody who's willing to take the property over $100,000. Whatever that gap is over $100,000, we're going to get paid for working this with you. We're going to do our best to get this deal done. And that's just the way it goes. And if they're cool with that, then we'll just go ahead and market our contract, and then we'll see what the offers come in. And if we have to go back, we'll be like, all right, so bad news and good news, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. Bad news is I definitely can't get the deal done at the number I want to buy. But the good news is we have a buyer that's willing to do it. So what I need you to do is I'm going to have you sign this contract. And basically what it's going to do is take our contract is going to be null and void. And I'm going to put you in contract with the end buyer. And now you're still going to get the money that you wanted, which is all that you needed, right? I got you the $100,000. I'm still providing value A, B, and C, but I got a buyer who's willing to take this house. I'm going to put you in contract with them. I'm still going to take out of my proceeds that I'm getting in between. I am going to still pay all your closing costs. I'm still going to pay the real estate commission, so it doesn't cost you anything else. I'm putting all this work and time and effort. Whatever's left is mine. This contract just states that you're going to be in contract with the end buyer. You and I are no longer in contract, but whatever that difference is owed to me, minus any of those expenses, which will come out of my end. How does that sound, Mr. and Mrs. Seller? Do you want to move forward with this? Does that work for you, or probably not?
That's great, man. I love it. I love it. So let me ask you this. Are you with the finance buyers, after you market it on the MLS and people want to come through, say they want to do a USDA or FHA, like a finance buy, are you doing the work to get through that inspection? That FHA inspection?
Well, we sometimes do. It's rare. A lot of times it's just fine. But yeah, there's been times where we've had to put in some work, like to get like a furnace up and running or something like that. A lot of times we'll just pay concessions if we can. But yeah, that definitely happens. It's a good point. But dude, we make so much money out of it. Even if it costs me another 5 to 10 grand, it's fine. A lot of times what we'll do, like we have a couple houses now. This is something that wholesalers should do, even if they're not taking properties down. You want to make more money right now? Here, I'll tell you. When you get a house that's full of junk and crap, and it's like filled to the gills, before you market it out to the buyers and everybody else, spend the money and clean it. If you know this deal is going to move, clean it, because this is what we've tested over time in our business. When we spend 8 grand to clean out a house, it usually nets us back a 3x return. For some reason, when the house is full of junk and stuff, the buyers come in and all they can think is dumpsters cost, and it makes their price go down. But as soon as you clean all that out and they can see everything, that $8,000 will probably make an extra 24. So do that whether you have the property, you own it or not. We are listing a house on the MLS right now. We don't own it, strict MLS wholesale, and we are spending money to clean it out, and we do it all the time.
Dude, I love it. I love it. So we've got about 10 minutes left, and I've got some fire. Yeah, I got some fire questions for you. But before I do that, oftentimes like there are things that I miss or things that I leave out. Is there anything that you want to just relate to this audience about the way that you do things, or anything like that I missed that you want to definitely talk about?
Yeah, I would just say this, like, if you're newbies, just understand that it's going to take some time to get going in this business. It usually takes 3 to 6 months really to get your first deal, a couple deals under your belt. It takes a year to build a solid foundation. If you're really consistent and you have good coaching with like Wyatt under your belt, right? Him teaching you the way, and you're doing the marketing, you're putting in the effort, and you're consistent. It's going to take you a solid year to build the foundation of something great. And then in year two, you're probably going to get a 2 to 3x on whatever you did in year one. But it takes about 3 years to build a solid business, like the one you could quit your job and scale or do whatever you want. Like, so if you can be all in for 3 years, your life will change. Your life will change after a year, but really change after 3 years. And just remember these things, that like you got to invest in coaching, right? People like Wyatt know what they're doing. They're going to expedite your road to success much quicker, much, much quicker. I promise you. Whatever the money you have to invest into Wyatt's coach is going to make you so much more money. And just from the money you're going to lose by not investing in it, never mind the money he's going to see. Coaches can see our blind spots all the time. Wyatt has a coach. I have a coach. The reason why we've been so successful is because we keep investing in coaching. So always keep learning, keep taking action. Just be patient with yourself and get really good at talking to sellers. The better you can, I understand you did sales, right? But sales, business to business, direct marketing, or selling solar is completely different than when you're talking to a distressed seller who's emotional, irrational, going through a really hard time, maybe depressed, right? These people are different, and there's a very niche nuance of expertise that goes into there. My guys are really good at talking to them. They went through years of training, like years of training. So you could go into a coaching program, get really good in a year, but it would take a couple years of this training to get really, really good. And then if you could get like Wyatt, where you're really good at talking to people and getting properties under contract, and then start to learn all those exit strategies to maximize your revenue on the back end, dude, talk about a life of freedom. That's what it's all about.
Dude, I love it. I love it, dude. Yeah, my sales coach, Claude Diamond, he always says that people make big decisions emotionally. The people that we work with, the sellers
Yep.
that we work with. So learning how to get in and have an actual conversation instead of sounding like you're reading off a script. Sales is so vitally important, and it's not just getting in and reading off of a script and getting as much information as possible and then getting out. You've got to understand what these people are going through. You've got to essentially be a therapist. Find out be a doctor. Find out
Yeah.
what's going on. What's
Yeah.
wrong. Let me help you.
We call it being a consultant, being a friend, right? If you just had a friend that was in need and trouble, you'd go in there, right? You come in from a place of empathy and trying to understand and learn about this person, but this person doesn't know you from a hole in the wall. They could be completely embarrassed about the situation. They could be depressed. Like, they're going to just open up about, hey, yeah, man, I'm 4 months behind on my mortgage payment. I'm the dad of the year, right? That's hard for somebody to talk about, right? But you need that information. So to learn how to do that. And then you have these other people who are habitual procrastinators, and you have to like move them along like you're a parent giving tough love. Like, here, we're here to help you, but I need to keep kicking you in the butt and get them from the, ghosting you and missing deadlines and everything. There's so much into it people don't understand. And, even just how to get people to come out of ghosting, right? There's certain nuances that you could do, certain techniques that will make you tens of $1,000s a year just from reviving people who ghost you, where a lot of people don't know how to do this, but people like you and I do, because we've been taught and learned, and now we can teach others. But other people just try to figure it out themselves because, hey man, I sold solar, or I used to sell business to business and I was great at it. Well, okay, well, good luck dealing with somebody who's emotional.
Right.
It's not a bottom line thing.
Well, dude, you've got me sold. So let me ask you this, because you're a coach, obviously. Tell me, if I'm a new beginner, like, how do I work with you, and what am I going to learn from working with you?
Well, I appreciate you asking. So listen, we're all about teaching everybody how to talk to sellers. Whether, we work with people that are already established, that have their own acquisition guys that come in and we train their acquisition guys. We work with realtors as well, real estate agents as well. Or if you're a newbie looking to just start up your business, we'll work with you all that. What we really want to do is get you really good talking to people. We want to help you get your marketing up and running. And then we want you to get your leads to deals converted, right? So again, we can all generate leads, but the conversion ratio from the money you're spending and converting it to actual revenue is that expertise in there takes a lot of practice, time, and coaching and learning. And you have to learn, practice, and learn, practice, repeat, learn, practice, repeat, and then we'll teach you all these exit strategies out of it. So we're REI Freedom. If you join our Facebook group, REI Freedom, come there, connect with us. We give a lot of free content out there all the time. In there too, as well, is our top 5 sales techniques of how to talk to sellers to get bigger deals, more deals with less cancellations, so you can have those better conversions. Nobody wants to spend $10,000 on marketing and have nothing to show for it. We want to teach you to spend $10,000 and make $100,000 out of that, right? That's what we're all about. So if you go in there, you learn those sales techniques. It's free. We give everything away for free. Our coaching's not for free, but a lot of other stuff it is. Freedom through real estate investing, right? That's what we do here, right? Well, however that looks for you, time freedom, financial freedom, all of the above. Listen, you're working from home. I'm working from home. REI Freedom. That's why we named it that. We love it.
I love it, man. Well, just find Jeremy Beland and
yeah, there you go. Hunt me down, man. Hunt me down.
Let's go. Well, hey, before I let you go, are there any sales books that you've read that you think, hey, people would really
Heck, yes. I'm glad you asked.
I like that rhino in the background too. Everybody.
Yeah. This one's Flip the Script. Oren Klaff, one of the best sales books I ever read. It's a game changer in this industry. And obviously, the blank of the other one.
Never Split the Difference.
Never Split the Difference. Thank you. Yes. That was the one. It was Adam Minecraft. Those two are tremendous in this industry for what we do. And you shouldn't just read them once. You should read them multiple times every single year. They're great. You need to be labeling people. You need to be mirroring people. And you need to learn how to flip the script. That great books. Highly recommend both of them.
Dude, I love it, man. I love it. Well, hey, we're coming up on time, man. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing. It seems like we could probably talk for another 2 hours, but
I'd love to.
I appreciate it. I'm sure we'll do this again for sure. So thank you so much for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Hey guys, if you heard something that you like, whatever platform that you're listening to this on, like it, share it, download it, do whatever you can on whatever platform it is. We would really appreciate it. And if you want to learn how we do what we do, go to ascendyoursuccess.com, we'll fill out the application, and I'll reach out to you personally, and we'll talk one-on-one and see if we're a good fit for you, if you're a good fit for us. And either way, let's just take some massive imperfect action today. All right. You guys have a great time.